Welcome to the Silurian period ocean about 400 million years ago. Take a deep breath of that prehistoric water because congratulations, you have just been born as a Eurypterid. You are a giant sea scorpion, the undisputed apex predator of your era and an absolute unit of biological terror. Measuring up to 8 feet long, you are basically a living, breathing underwater battle tank equipped with spiked death arms. You look down upon the pathetic, squishy little creatures scurrying across the ocean floor, and you laugh in your cold, invertebrate brain. You have armor plating that would make a medieval knight weep with jealousy, and your claws are the size of a human head, perfectly designed for snipping your prey in half, like a pair of biological hedge clippers. Life is good, right? You are the undisputed king of the prehistoric sea, a god among trilobites. Wrong. Your life is an absolute, unmitigated nightmare, and Mother Nature is laughing at you right now. You see, the biggest joke of your existence is your own magnificent armor. That heavy-duty exoskeleton that makes you look so incredibly tough is actually a suffocating death trap. Unlike those weird, futuristic animals called mammals or birds that have their skeletons safely tucked inside their bodies, you wear your skeleton on the outside. And here is the fatal design flaw that ruins your entire life. Your body grows, but your armor does not. Imagine being forced to wear the exact same tight leather jacket you had when you were a toddler, but now you are a massive adult bodybuilder. That is your daily reality. Every single day, you are slowly, painfully expanding inside a rigid cage that refuses to stretch even a single millimeter. It starts as a mild discomfort, a claustrophobic tightness in your chest and abdomen. Then it becomes an agonizing pressure. Your own muscles are literally crushing you from the inside out. You cannot breathe properly. You cannot move freely. You cannot even scratch the eternal itch underneath your impenetrable shell. You are a prisoner trapped inside your own majestic body, and if you do not do something drastic, your own growth will crush your internal organs and kill you. So, you are faced with the most horrifying, humiliating ordeal in the animal kingdom. You have to molt. You have to literally crawl out of your own skin. This is not a quick or easy process. This is a grueling, exhausting battle for survival against your own anatomy. You have to find a dark, secluded corner of the ocean floor, far away from anything with a mouth, and begin the torturous process of ripping yourself out of your shell. You pump your body full of water to crack the old exoskeleton open along your back. The pain is unimaginable. And then comes the truly terrifying part. You have to slowly wiggle, squirm, and violently thrash your soft, vulnerable body out of the tight, jagged opening. You have to extract your eyes, your delicate gills, and every single one of your many legs out of their old, stiff casings without tearing them off. If you pull at the wrong angle, snap, there goes a leg. If you get exhausted halfway through and get stuck, well, congratulations, you just became a permanent museum exhibit. You will slowly drown and rot inside your half-removed shell, dying the most embarrassing death possible for a supposed apex predator. But let us say you were lucky. Let us say you actually managed to pull off this biological magic trick and emerge from your old shell in one piece. Do you feel victorious? Do you feel refreshed and powerful? Absolutely not. You feel like a giant, helpless pudding. The new exoskeleton you are wearing is incredibly soft, wrinkly, and completely useless. It offers zero protection. Those terrifying, skull-crushing claws you were so proud of just a few hours ago, they are now the consistency of wet, floppy noodles. You cannot pinch anything. You cannot fight. You cannot even swim properly because your paddles are as soft as wet cardboard. You have gone from being the armored tank of the ocean to a giant, fleshy, bite-sized snack for literally every other creature in the sea. You are an all-you-can-eat buffet on 8 legs, and the entire ocean smells your vulnerability. This is where the absolute paranoia sets in. The psychological torture of the mold is worse than the physical pain. You, the great and terrible Eurypterid, are forced to cower in a dark, narrow rock crevice like a frightened little rat. You wedge your squishy, jelly-like body into the tightest hole you can find, and you pray to the invertebrate gods that nothing notices you. You hold your breath. You do not move a muscle. For days, sometimes even weeks, you just sit there in the pitch-black darkness, waiting for your new armor to slowly harden. Every passing shadow terrifies you. Every slight ripple in the water makes your non-existent heart pound out of your chest. You know that out there, swimming around freely, are creatures you used to bully just last week. There are primitive squids, large-shelled nautiloids, and even worse, your own cousins. Yes, other sea scorpions are notorious cannibals. If your hungry uncle finds you while you are in this pathetic, soft-shelled state, he will not hesitate to rip you to shreds and eat you alive. You are forced to live in constant, paralyzing fear, knowing that your reign of terror is completely paused just so you can grow a few inches. It is a humiliating cycle of dominance and absolute vulnerability, over and over again, for your entire life. You are only a badass until it is time to change your clothes, and then you are just a sad, squishy meal waiting to be eaten. Imagine the sheer indignity of being the top predator, the one who usually dictates who lives and who dies, now trembling at the sight of a passing snail. You watch a sluggish, brainless ammonite drift by your hiding spot. Normally, you would crush its shell like a cheap walnut just for fun. But today, you hold absolutely perfectly still, terrified that this floating ice cream cone of a creature might bump into your soft, gelatinous abdomen and cause you lethal damage. You cannot even defend yourself against a strong underwater current, let alone an actual attacker. The waiting game is pure agony. You sit in the dark, hungry, exhausted, and desperately trying to absorb enough calcium from the surrounding water to turn your mushy exterior back into a weaponized suit. Every minute feels like a century. You replay every poor life choice your ancestors made to end up with this ridiculous evolutionary design. Why could you not just have bones on the inside? Why must you endure this humiliating, near-death experience every single time you eat a few too many trilobites and put on a little weight? Mother Nature clearly has a sixth sense of humor, and you are her favorite punchline. You finally understand the true meaning of powerlessness, wrapped in a squishy, pathetic package, hiding under a rock. Just when you think this humiliating cycle of claustrophobia, agonizing molting, and pathetic hiding is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, Mother Nature decides to drop a massive, game-changing update on the prehistoric ocean servers. And guess what? You are no longer the main character. You are completely obsolete. While you were busy hiding in a dark crevice, waiting for your wet noodle claws to harden, evolution was busy working on a new project. A project specifically designed to ruin your life. Welcome the jawed fish. That is right. The vertebrates have finally figured out how to bite, and they are not playing around anymore. These new kids on the evolutionary block, the placoderms, are an absolute nightmare for your entire existence. Let us compare notes, shall we? You spend your entire life building up a heavy, cumbersome suit of armor on the outside of your body, forcing you into periods of absolute vulnerability just to grow. The placoderms? They have a flexible, internal skeleton made of cartilage or bone. They can grow continuously without ever having to strip naked and hide under a rock. But the real insult, the ultimate slap in the face from evolution, is their mouth. You have these complicated, spindly little mouth parts that are mostly just good for grabbing and shoving things toward your face. The placoderms have a jaw. A massive, hinged, terrifying jaw equipped with self-sharpening, bony plates that act like biological guillotines. Suddenly, your magnificent chitinous armor, the armor you literally risk your life to shed and regrow every year, is completely useless. In the eyes of a giant-jawed fish, you are no longer the apex predator. You are just a massive, crunchy, oversized potato chip swimming awkwardly through the water. The panic sets in. The ocean, which used to be your playground, is now a terrifying minefield of teeth and bone. You watch in horror as creatures like the Dunkleosteus, a literal armored torpedo with the bite force of a hydraulic press, start patrolling your hunting grounds. These fish are faster than you. They are more agile than you. And they look at your heavily armored body and see nothing but a challenging snack. Your defense mechanisms are suddenly pathetic. You try to pinch them with your once mighty claws, but their thick, bony skulls barely even register the attack. You try to swim away, but your flat, paddle-like legs are no match for their powerful, muscular tails. You are a slow-moving, heavily armored target practice dummy for the new rulers of the sea. Your entire evolutionary strategy, millions of years of building bigger claws and thicker shells, has been rendered completely pointless in the span of a few million years. You are the biological equivalent of a flip phone trying to compete in a world of smartphones. You are outdated, you are clunky, and nobody is afraid of you anymore. The sheer desperation of your species becomes painfully obvious. You are losing the arms race, and you are losing it badly. You cannot compete with the jawed fish in the open ocean. You are being hunted, crunched, and devoured at an alarming rate. So, what does your once proud lineage do? You retreat. You flee the glorious, open ocean where you once ruled as kings, and you start crawling into the shallow, muddy estuaries and freshwater swamps. You are literally running away from the big kids on the playground. You try to find places where the massive jawed fish cannot follow you. The indignity is crushing. The apex predator of the Silurian period is now reduced to a bottom-feeding scavenger, scuttling around in muddy puddles, desperately trying to avoid getting its head bitten off. Some of your cousins get so desperate that they even try to leave the water entirely. They start awkwardly dragging their heavy, armored bodies onto the dry land, gasping for air, just to escape the terrifying jaws of the fish. Imagine the sheer terror that would force a massive aquatic creature to voluntarily crawl onto land, a hostile alien environment where gravity crushes you and the sun dries you out, just because the water has become too dangerous. This is the ultimate defeat. You abandon the ocean, your ancestral home, because evolution decided to give fish a mouth that works better than yours. And the cosmic joke does not end there. Your story is a tragedy of epic proportions. Despite your desperate retreat, despite your attempts to hide in the mud and the swamps, your time is up. The era of the giant sea scorpions slowly comes to an agonizing end. You are outcompete, out-hunted, and eventually, the changing climate and the relentless pressure from the vertebrate predators wipe you out completely. The great Gicalopterus, the 8-foot-long monster that once struck terror into the hearts of every living thing in the sea, goes completely extinct. You are erased from the face of the earth. And what is your legacy? Millions of years later, what is left of your mighty lineage? Your distant, terrestrial descendants are the scorpions and the spiders of the modern world. That is right. The descendants of the greatest marine predator of the Silurian period are now tiny, pathetic creatures that hide under rocks, live in the dusty corners of human bedrooms, and get squashed flat by a rolled-up newspaper or a cheap rubber flip-flop. You went from ruling the prehistoric oceans to getting sucked up by a vacuum cleaner. That is the brutal, unforgiving reality of evolution. It does not care about your armor, it does not care about your size, and it certainly does not care about your ego. It just throws you into the meat grinder and sees if you survive. So, the next time you feel small or insignificant, just remember the Gicalopterus. Remember that being a giant, heavily armored death machine is absolutely meaningless if your own body tries to kill you every time you grow, and evolution is always waiting to replace you with something faster, smarter, and hungrier. What a miserable, pathetic way to exist.